What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. I have an absolutely bonkers video for y'all today. Today, you're going to learn about a man named Harald Malmgren. And if the story that he tells is even remotely true, it would not only send shockwaves through the UFO community, but humanity in general. Because in this video, what you're going to learn is potentially, allegedly, just maybe, John F. Kennedy was assassinated because of his knowledge of UFOs and what he was going to do about it. So let's dive in. On the latest Need to Know podcast with Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel, Ross brought up a story about Harald Malmgren. Okay, he's going to be featured in a interview on Jesse Michaels' channel coming up, and apparently it's his last interview he ever gave. Right now, you may be asking, who is Harald and why is he so important? Well, let me explain. Harald Malmgren, born 1935, who recently passed away in 2025, was an American scholar, diplomat, and senior advisor to U.S. Presidents Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, and Ford, as well as a key figure in international trade negotiations. With a background in physics and economics, he held high-level security clearances during his career, including roles overseeing Department of Defense projects on nuclear weapons and anti-missile defense in the 1960s. Malmgren later revealed he was informally briefed on other world technologies by CIA official Richard Bissell, who oversaw secretive programs like Area 51 and Skunk Works. He claimed this occurred over 60 years ago, suggesting knowledge of non-human intelligence technologies, including recovered materials held by government and private entities. Notably, Malmgren alleged that during a 1962 missile test tied to the Cuban Missile Crisis, the U.S. Navy shot down and retrieved a UFO orb, an event he linked to briefings from Bissell and Atomic Energy Commission official Lawrence Preston Geis. And Lawrence Preston Geis just happens to be Jeff Bezos' grandfather. That's right, the guy behind Amazon. Before his death in February 2025, Malmgren broke decades of secrecy to share these insights, contributing to modern UFO discourse. So, now that you've learned a little bit about Harald, let's move to this clip from the Need to Know podcast with Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel. Again, where Ross Coulthart, what he has to say about this upcoming Jesse Michaels interview could shock the world.
There's more than that, though, Bryce. I just want to flag to people something that's coming up. My good friend Jesse Michaels has done an exclusive interview with Harald Malmgren before he died. And Harald was, as you know, a JFK staffer, and his daughter Pippa is a very good friend of mine. Pippa's an extraordinarily well-informed economist, and her father, Harald, was one of the key junior staffers in the JFK White House. And Harald, before he died, passed on to me through Pippa the information that he was briefed by Richard Bissell, who was one of, I think, the deputy directors of operations for the CIA in the 1960s. He was briefed into the Legacy program. And the reason why he was briefed into the Legacy program was because of an accidental downing of an alien spacecraft during the Kennedy administration, during the testing of a thermonuclear device called Bluegill in the Pacific during, I think, the 1960s. And the allegation is that JFK was apprised of this accidental downing of an alien spacecraft, that he may in fact have gone to a briefing where he was fully briefed about it. And indeed, some of the documents that have been obtained by an Australian friend of mine, Jeff Cruikshank, who's a former intelligence operative who has taken a close interest in this matter, would suggest very strongly that there might in fact be a UFO link with the JFK assassination. And that's what Jesse Michaels explores with Harald Malmgren in an interview that I'm hoping will come out fairly soon. God bless him, Harald died in February, and literally within days of his interview with Jesse, it was an act of raw courage for him in his declining days to agree to speak to Jesse. And I'm very, very excited to see what he comes up with. And I really do commend to everyone to take a really close interest in what I think will be a major interview.
Well, the JFK UFO connection makes my heart go pitter patter because I produced 20 hours for NBC of Dark Skies. The entire premise of the series was that JFK was killed because he was going to tell the truth in his second term. I didn't have that kind of evidence when I said that. I just thought it would be my co-creator, Brent Friedman, and I said, well, let's take the two greatest conspiracies of all time, JFK and UFOs, and put them in an atom collider and see what happened. And it's kind of interesting to me to look at evidence over the years that seems to come to the forefront that says it's possible. Because let's face it, if Roswell was a real event in 1947, then it was pretty soon after that JFK comes into office, just 14 years later. And obviously, there would have been an active group looking into it.
So what do we think? This is very interesting, and I look forward to this interview coming out. Again, this will be Harald's last interview ever, right? And he's sort of blowing open the doors on what he was briefed on, right? And it's not like this guy was involved with this stuff. He's taken very seriously, and he has a lot of credibility. If you go searching for him online, you'll see that. So this is honestly quite shocking that he would say this, right? Especially if it's true, right? Now, again, up to this point, there's no documentation or anything to prove any of this, just Harald's word. But if you were to take his word on other things he said before that, you'd have no problem, right? So, but he comes out with this, and it's like, wait, what? Right? It starts connecting a lot of dots that were already close to being connected, right? Now, we'll have to wait and see with Jesse's interview if potentially there is some evidence provided to back up this claim, because even though Harald has an impeccable reputation and credibility, we still would need to see some evidence that actually happened. Now, maybe there's just no way to provide that kind of evidence, right? I don't know. It's so long ago as well. And again, it's always been thought that JFK, at least one of the theories, of why he was removed from this world, that being the reason. So Harald coming out and saying this is honestly pretty shocking, right? So I'm curious to see where this goes, and I cannot wait to see this interview from Jesse Michaels. So, all right, y'all. Links in the comments and the description. Go check it out. We will see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!